they or won't they? Ohio State, can they play their last 2 regular season games? And you know the story by now. They're 4-0. They need to get to 6 games to qualify for the Big Ten championship. They've missed 2 of their last 3 because of coronavirus concerns. Here's their coach.
And so, their focus is on Michigan State and winning this game. And a little shorthanded, but it'll say a lot about our program if we can rally this week after having another disappointing weekend last weekend and come on the road and go get this win.
All right, let me bring Heather and Paul into the conversation, our regulars here. And if they do play this game, it'll be without Ryan Day. That is part of what will be shorthanded. How do we stand right now, Heather? When do we know exactly what their situation is?
Well, typically on game day, Greeny, they release a player availability chart. I would expect they do the same thing if they don't do that today. And the player availability chart, remember, it includes injuries. It includes anybody else who might be out. They're not going to say specifically if players are missing because of COVID-19. They have tried all along to protect the privacy of the student athletes and haven't revealed the scope of this. So we don't know exactly how shorthanded they might be, but they are going to test again around 8 p.m. this evening to make sure they get on a clean plane.
Now, so the point is they're going to play if they reasonably can. Paul Finebaum, I will ask you, is it enough for them to win out? As currently scheduled, they play Michigan State and Michigan. Is it enough for them just to win these games, or do they need style points?
They need style points right now, Greeny. I mean, they are depending on a 13-person committee to determine whether they play for the national championship or not. And it was interesting on Tuesday night, the committee chairman talked about how they did not put Texas A&M at the number 4 position. Why? Because they looked average against the defending national champion LSU. So right now it's all about style points, getting these games in, but looking good in the process because all eyes are on the Buckeyes.
What's your sense, Heather? No one covers that committee more closely than you do. Obviously, some of the people on it change every year, so it's not necessarily consistent. But is your sense that the eye test is going to be critical for Ohio State?
Yes, the eye test matters this year more than any other season. Gary Barta has said it. It's one of the things they're using to help determine between these vastly unbalanced resumes. And Paul nailed it. Look, when you look at Ohio State in that win against Indiana, which seems like forever ago, Justin Fields threw 3 interceptions. The pass defense allowed almost 500 yards. You're going to finish top 4 in the country. Those things have to improve. And Texas A&M, the selection committee is liking their defense. They're keeping an eye on their offense, but they absolutely considered the Aggies for that number 4 spot this week. So the Buckeyes need to do everything they can to leave no doubt they're a top 4 team.
Paul, how do you look ahead to next week?
Well, Michigan has problems, as we've heard, with the AP reporting with 12 positives. So it's hard to know until Monday. But if Ohio State cannot play Michigan, the Big Ten has to figure out a way. They have the luxury of the schedule. They can mix and match. They need to be judicious and fair, and they need the support of the other ADs. But Ohio State can't miss next weekend. That would be disastrous for their playoff hopes.
Yeah, I mean, at this point this year, I think a little bit of flexibility has proved to be very important. Certainly in other conferences, and the Big Ten may need to do it. Meanwhile, I want to do some sneaky big news here because I came across this story. I had to read it 3 times to make sure that I was completely understanding what I think is the magnitude of it. The Knight Commission, which is a group of collegiate athletic leaders, including presidents and former ADs, has officially endorsed that the FBS, what most of us will forever know as Division I college football, split away from the NCAA. This is extremely significant, it seems to me. Heather, what can you tell us about the importance of that decision?
Well, it's important because it's a recommendation that will be brought to the attention of NCAA President Mark Emmert, but it's also important to remember that the Knight Commission doesn't actually have the power to change things. And I reported last month a little bit about this survey. So, the survey was done in July. It was a 15-minute survey online, and there was over 300 participants of it. My question is, how many of the Power 5 conference commissioners and university presidents agree with this? And one of the questions on there, Greeny, and we've talked about this before, was should there be a commissioner of college football? And I can tell you in that survey, only 5 of 10 FBS commissioners answered 2 were Power 5, 3 were Group of 5. So when you bring that into a larger perspective, how many agree with this philosophy of breaking apart? And it's also important to remember that the people who make these decisions in the NCAA for college football, they are college football. They're the athletic directors and the conference commissioners and the football oversight committee. They're all Power 5 people. So, I don't know. It makes sense, but we'll see what happens and how much support there is.
Paul, 5 years from now, will they have split off from the NCAA?
I think they will, and they need to, Greeny. This is an old conversation on this program, but during the biggest crisis in collegiate sports, the president of the NCAA, Mark Emmert, has been in the witness protection program. Nobody sees him, nobody hears from him, and it's time to end this charade. And big-time college football needs a commissioner or a czar or a committee of its own, not depending on the NCAA governing body.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.